Hi everyone, this video is to describe the IEP project or assignment that is due March 1st in Special Education 8350. You can take more time if you need. The suggested due date is March 1st or the end of Module 6. And the assignment is, you can find it in two ways. You can find it in Module 6, or you can find it using the left-hand navigation panel when you click on assignments. This is the first project that shows up. In this container, there is a file that says annual review update that describes everything that I'm also saying in this video. Essentially what we're doing is looking at a case student named Maria, and her initial IEP was completed at the beginning of 3rd grade. We are acting as the special education teacher who's going to make an update to that IEP so that it follows Maria into 4th grade. And of the files that are provided, you can use the one that says IEP form in Word doc and make updates on this clean document, or you might prefer to make updates to the highlighted areas using her grade 3 initial IEP and just changing the information. So you can work from a clean copy, or you can work from the copy of the IEP that we'll be updating. The way that we're going to update it is by using some case data for Maria. So the first thing that I'll show are the written description of this assignment. It tells us that we are going to work with the case student Maria, make updates to her reading fluency, reading comprehension, written expression goals. If you have another student and you want to do this IEP update on a student that you're actually teaching and an IEP you actually have to update, you can use that actual student, just change the name or use a pseudonym. So you'll update the PLAF statement, you'll revise the annual goals, and then you'll describe how you're going to monitor progress toward those new annual goals. And all highlighted areas that are included in that IEP document should be updated to reflect grade 4 instead of grade 3. So the other files that you have available are the data that you will use to interpret the present level of performance statement and make any updates from her past year, meaning like this IEP that was initial in 3rd, we're updating for 4th grade using the progress monitoring data summaries that appear in this case file. The initial IEP for Maria is provided. Everything that's highlighted is what we would have to update. So for example, here it says that she's in grade 3, but we're updating to grade 4. We'll put the new year for the date of the meeting, and then instead of developing an initial IEP, what we're doing is revising for the annual review. You can put in pseudonyms for the IEP participants. At minimum, we need the parent or guardian. We need an LEA representative. That's somebody who has knowledge of and authority to make any financial commitments to any services that might be added to the IEP. We need the special education teacher, the general education teacher. Maria is not yet 14, so we aren't required to have Maria attend, but she could. We would also want, in this case, the bilingual or ESL teacher. Anyone else who is required to be there would be determined based on the services that Maria is eligible for or the requirements that her registration paperwork shows. In this case, it looks like the parents have requested an interpreter, so then the interpreter would be present at the meeting. So you can put in any name changes or just use the names that are there for the annual review update. Given what you see in the data, you can take the strengths that are written here, add to them or change them based on how you interpret the written data from the past year. The present level descriptions for Maria in reading and writing are where you'll use that data file to make updates to describe what she knows and can do in the areas of reading comprehension, reading fluency, and written expression. Functional performance, there are summary statements here about planning, organization, social emotional behavior, adaptive behavior. As you read through the data that are provided in that file, you can make any changes or updates or decide that this area would remain unchanged based on what you see. So again, we're looking for everything that's highlighted to make changes for this annual review update. Now, we aren't going to actually have her parents to be able to tell us what the concerns are. So in an annual review, you would update parent concerns. You can add hypothetically what you think these might be. This section, again, is for parents to tell their concerns. It doesn't mean that anything that the parent brings up is a concern that the school is going to provide. It just means that we are listening and reporting what the concerns are. Continue scrolling through the document, the adverse effects of her specific learning disability will remain the same. This initial third grade IEP happened like at the start of the year, so we're not, in this case, looking at any eligibility changes. So we wouldn't expect any of that content to need to be updated unless we were concerned that maybe she doesn't have a specific learning disability and perhaps needs a different assessment evaluation to see if she's eligible under any other disability category. The next part that you'll update are the IEP goal statements. And so everything that's highlighted yellow, you can look at how it was written for third grade and then base your interpretation off the data to make updates for these 3 annual goals in reading comprehension, reading fluency, and written expression. As I look through the rest of this Word document, the supplementary aids and services that are allocated here all align to her eligibility for specific learning disability. You can look through them and see if there's anything that you potentially would add, but I wouldn't take anything away because these all align to what the initial eligibility showed as support needs for Maria. So the only thing that you're doing in this assignment is focusing on the areas that are highlighted in yellow and making changes or updates to those based on the data file that you see for Maria. Again, you can do this all on the document that says Maria Initial IEP Project. Maybe resave it with your name and then upload it. If you want to do it all in a clean copy and have like 2 files open, what you would do is just type in where the highlight shows up using information from the other IEP file for Maria. So you can either write into a clean copy or just make updates on the document that already has text in it for Maria. And this is suggested to be due at the end of module 6. If you need more time on it, that is okay. Just let me know. There's no penalty to turning it in later. Reach out with any questions. I'll have office hours Tuesday from 12 to 3 and Thursday from 5 to 6. Have a great week.